Alrighty. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Orlando. I am the Ohio Clean Marinas Program Manager with the Ohio Sea Grant College Program. And we have Amy Torrey Reinhardt and Tracy Koch here. Tracy is our Ohio River Basin Program Coordinator who works inland with a lot of our state park and inland marinas. And Amy is our Administrative Assistant out of Columbus who helps support our statewide program. We're excited to have you here today for our webinar titled Sustainable Tourism for Marinas, which is featuring Melinda Huntley, Executive Director with the Ohio Travel Association. And we're excited to have all of you here today for the kind of this little lunch and learn that we are starting as a recorded webinar, hopefully with beneficial information, expertise, and tips and tricks for you to help support your business as a clean marina. And that, in our eyes, involves environmental and economic impact and support. So Melinda here with us today is the Executive Director, as I said, of the Ohio Travel Association, a nonprofit organization supporting Ohio's $56 billion travel economy, which I think is largely due to our waterways, right? And a lot of all of the things that you all do on our wonderful recreational resources. She works on workforce development, advocacy, strategic planning, and connecting businesses to wholesale travel buyers. With career experience in public relations at Cedar Point, running a visitors bureau along Lake Erie, and helping communities develop heritage and outdoor experiences through OSU's Ohio Sea Grant College program, she has a unique understanding of opportunities for businesses and communities of any size. She is a commissioner for America's 250 Ohio, which will be celebrated in 2026. I saw her at the Ohio State Fair promoting it, so get ready for 2026, everybody. And serves on multiple national and statewide task forces and boards, including those focused on World Heritage inscription and trail development. She is a member of the MBA Research Business Advisory Council and a dear friend, and we are so thrilled to have her here today. So thank you, Melinda, for being here. We want to acknowledge the Ohio Clean Marinas Program is putting together and kind of supporting this webinar today. We are doing it for the Great Lakes Clean Marina Network. For those of you maybe that have never heard of the network or are new or maybe still learning about it, the Great Lakes Clean Marina Network is a collaborative network of clean marina coordinators, actual marina owners, nonprofits, industry partners, and really anybody who supports clean marinas across the Great Lakes. We function as a networking and exchange of ideas network. We're very ad hoc, very informal, but we, all of us across the Great Lakes kind of work together voluntarily to support this network and put together webinars such as these. This is our first kickoff of what we're calling a special topics webinar for the Great Lakes Clean Marina Network post-COVID. So we appreciate you being here today. We hope this will encourage you to join us in the future. We are hoping to set up quarterly or biannual webinars moving forward across the Great Lakes, and we're looking for topics and expertise. So please feel free to reach out to the Ohio Clean Marinas program at ohiocleanmarinas@osu.edu with content ideas, experts that you know might be a good speaker for a special topics webinar, or even just feedback. So thank you for that. At this point, I'm going to pass the slides over to Melinda Huntley for her presentation on sustainable tourism. So thanks again, Melinda.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. It's great being here. I hope, give me thumbs up. You're able to see the slides, Sarah? Perfect.
Yes, they're good.
It's great to be here. I see some familiar names in the participant box, which is super exciting. And when you said you think, that economic impact is due to Lake Erie, I'm gonna tell you, I haven't run the numbers this year, but I can tell you in the past, I know that about a third of the state's economic impact from tourism is generated by the 8 counties that border Lake Erie. So you're not far from it when you talk about the importance of waterways. So I appreciate the lovely bio and information, but I'll just give you a little bit about my experience, kind of making sense of that bio. I spent 3/4 of my career up on Lake Erie. In fact, when I moved to Columbus about 10 years ago, I literally moved into a place with a pond because I just miss the water so much. I still miss it. But I can tell you that, we started at Cedar Point, went to Visitors Bureau, then started marketing Lake Erie as a whole and working with communities. In even today, it's about taking what I learned then and applying it at the statewide level. Ohio Travel Association is not the state tourism office. It is a nonprofit organization that focuses on representing the tourism industry and your interests on a statewide level, as well as at the federal level. So what I focus on and what makes me tick is what's unique about our region. In every single community has something that's unique. That's your differential. And that's what gets me excited in helping communities identify what is special about them and really taking a look at tourism trends. How do we capitalize on that? When we talk about tourism, it's also important to remember that it is defined as 50 miles or more one way. So we're not talking about long haul, 2-week trips. We're talking about just getting someone from an hour away to come visit your community and your marina. So that's what we're talking about when I say travelers. So I was asked to touch on 3 things and given only 20 minutes. So I got my timer set and I will really try. Sustainability, and then how to message some of that, as well as the power of partners. So those are the 3 things that we'll talk about. So let's take a quiz first. When it comes to marinas, what does it mean to be sustainable? A, reducing environmental impact. B, supporting local businesses. Or C, preserving cultural traditions. And if you're able to, pop your answer into the chat box if you're able to see it. If you're not able to do that, just think of an answer. And this is oh, there's the chat box. Okay. Pop them in. And yes, Sarah, it's a trick question, right? Because the reality is, it is all of the above. Expedia did a study of travelers in 2022 because they wanted to find out. Everybody was throwing around this term sustainability and wanting to do sustainable travel, but Expedia wanted to know what do you mean by sustainable travel? And these are the 3 things that they talked about. We're going to touch on each of these just briefly. So 1, reducing environmental impact, protecting the water that is so important to all of you, protecting the species, protecting the land, protecting the air we breathe. So the environmental, those physical environmental impacts, what do we do to try to minimize our footprint, and even promote conservation? So that would be the first when we talk about reducing environmental impact. Second definition of sustainability, supporting local businesses. And, what we are seeing in the tourism industry, and we've been seeing it for a long time, this isn't going to change, is that drive, that demand for local, organic, right, homegrown. You've heard all the terms used. They want to frequent locally owned businesses. They want to dine in places that have organic food, field to table, right, farm to table, forest to table, even options. So they're really looking for, dining experiences and other experiences. Are you supporting your local businesses? Do you know who local hotels might, if someone asks you for a local hotel, do you know where to send them? Do you know nearby attractions, right? So recognizing that people come to you, whether they're transient or they're, dock holders, they may come and they may have questions about what to see and do. If they're transient, they're coming for a destination. How do you get them to those places is something else. So how do you support local businesses and make sure they know you're supporting your local businesses? And bonus points if you work with partners that share your commitment to sustainability. Preserving cultural traditions. And this one is the one that I think is really the coolest. When people talk about what do they mean by sustainability, it's also sustainability of local cultures. Okay, so what does that mean when we're talking about marinas? There is a culture of marinas. There is a culture of a nautical culture, whether you're the river, on the lake, or in between. You know it, right? There, I was around it for, 30 years. A lot of people coming up, they don't recognize that. If you're a family-owned marina, what's their story? Do you share that story? Do you have your kids running around the marina? Um, what's your day-to-day operations like? People are intrigued by that. When they visit, they want to immerse themselves in the community. And so what we're seeing is more and more places are telling their own story, not just about what you could do as a visitor, but why you exist and why the marina, why the lake, why the river is important to you. And you can tell that story multiple ways. Why is it important? Well, this is what bookings.com just did a survey April of this year. And, they wanted to know what American travelers have to say about sustainability and traveling responsibly. 74% of Americans want to travel more responsibly this year. 74%. 42% said they would feel guilty making less sustainable travel decisions. And here's where these Clean Marina certifications come in. 45% of travelers want certifications to take the guesswork out of knowing if a business is sustainable. So having protocols, having the emblem, communicating, sharing that you're a clean marina is important because people don't want to have to guess. Having it right in front of them makes them feel good about making a choice of your marina versus maybe a marina that is not a clean marina. But here's the kicker: 70% don't believe it when you say you're practicing sustainability. So they see it, but they're like, are they really? Like, what? How do I know that? Which is why we're going to move on to our next section. You have to show and tell what you're doing. It's back to pre-kindergarten, right? Show and tell. You have to show people, you have to tell people, not just that you're a clean marina, but also what are you doing? What are some of those practices? What's the clean marine all about? What did you have to go through to be sustainable? So here's just a random ideas, and we can talk about it in the Q&A, other ideas, but make sure you're posting your designation everywhere, your websites, your brochures, your ads, your digital signatures, right next to your logo. Make sure you are sharing that as widely as you can. When someone arrives, whether by water or by land, are you able to share that you're a clean marina? Both sides, because they may be arriving different ways. Are you blogging? Are you talking about all of those things we talked about? Maybe a local restaurant or a local farm market, or what you're doing to be more sustainable, or how you started in business, or how your family's growing up in the lake. So many options for blogging or creating social content that explains what you do. Offering your guests. Now, here's where my language gets a little wacky, because I refer to visitors as guests. We're inviting them. We're inviting them to our business, to our marina, to our community. I don't usually say customer for that reason, because I think we should all treat our customers as guests, just like we would if we invited them into our home. It just kind of changes, right, our perception. So offer your guests an opportunity to share ideas that could improve sustainability. Maybe they have some ideas that they could, personally as a boater adopt, or that you as a marina could adopt. And, another idea is promote the Clean Boater program, particularly if you have, a pretty reliable and strong group of dog holders. You know, maybe they feel really disconnected with you during the off season. And could you even offer some programs for them? And one of them could be that you're saying, hey, we're a clean marina. You should be a clean boater. Whatever you do, this is the most important thing. If you remember nothing at all about today, here's what I want you to remember. And this is like old theory, but so many people have forgotten about this. If you want to tell someone something and you want them to remember it, not just remember it, you want them to say, oh yeah, they're a clean marina. You have got to tell them that at least 7 times. I see this happen all the time. People think, well, I put it in an email, boom, they should know it. You have to get a message in front of people no fewer than 7 times. And I'm going to argue it's probably double that, considering the noise that's out there with social media, but focus in on 7. And as you go forward and say, I want my guests, I want my local community to know that I exist, that I am here as a marina, and that sustainability is important to me, I literally would take a sheet of paper and identify what are 7 ways in a year that you could communicate that message. Because there's really no hope if we're not addressing it from a broader standpoint. So 7, rule of 7, we'll come back to it. All right, so power of partners, what does that mean? So what I'm referring to when I say partners, community partners in this sense, is who are some folks out there who can help you promote your business, who can help you promote your marina. Some of you may work with a Convention and Visitors Bureau. Some may work with a chamber, or there's other, we call them destination marketing organizations, which are CVBs. They're basically groups that market an area. I always tell the story of perception is reality. And if we aren't out there selling a community, promoting a community, people don't know about it. So these organizations are usually nonprofit, tax funded, are there to promote a community. And it is important that they know you exist, they know what services you offer, and they know that you're a clean marina. So how do we find these people, and what do you do once you find them? I would start by identifying your local or your county Convention and Visitors Bureau. I say local because some have groups that are within a city. Others just have a county. This is a really bad map, but it shows icons where all the CVBs are located in Ohio. If you have trouble identifying one, let us know. I'll have my email at the end of this, jot it down, send me an email. I can point you to that person directly. If you don't have a CVB, or even if you do, and you want to just make sure you're being, totally inclusive of everyone, identify your chamber. Many chambers, particularly in those areas that are destination oriented, also promote their city, also promote their members. So identify your chamber as well. Make sure your information is listed with the state tourism department. In Ohio, I'm going to drop into the chat right now a link for how you can get connected to the state tourism office, and you can make sure that your listing information is correct. This is a database of all the businesses in Ohio that really are tourism related. If you're not on this list, you're not on their radar. So the first step, get registered. It's free. They will promote you on their website, but they also pull from that list for other things. Or look for regional groups or statewide nonprofits that represent the industry. The point is, you don't have to necessarily be marketing experts yourself. There are people out there who can help you. All right, let's go to the next one if we can. There we go. So what do you do? Here's some quick tips, and I'll run down these quickly. Identify, meet with the director and or the marketing manager of let's just to abbreviate, call them all CVBs, right? Meet with them. What do you want to ask? You want to ask, how does boating fit into their marketing strategy? What do they need to better understand boaters and better understand who is coming to your marina? And ask them how you can help them. That'll blow their socks off, right? Because usually it's all about, how can you help me? You are there, you want their engagement, you want them to understand you, then how do you help them better understand the boating industry, the boating potential, and marinas? Show your support by attending events, right? Consider serving on their board or committee. All of them have opportunities for engagement. Provide them with tools to promote your marina. We'll talk about that. And if they are a membership organization, consider joining. I'm not going to go through this entire checklist because I mostly created it. So when you get this deck afterwards, you kind of have a checklist that you can follow. But there are a couple things I want to mention. You want to provide them with the tools to promote your marina. If these groups are out there and they're talking about the community and they're marketing the community, they need tools. They need the images and video and information to market you. And if they have those, it makes it a whole heck of a lot easier for them to do so. High quality photographs. I'm going to put a additional point here. If you're sending them photographs, make sure you have personal flotation devices on every person in those photographs if they're near the water or on a boat. That's important. It kind of like emphasizes 2 points at once. One, you're a great a place to go, but two, you're concerned about safety. Get to know the frontline staff and volunteers. Often this gets overlooked. Understand that when you walk in for visitor information, you reach out to someone personally, right, who may be running a visitor center, you are talking to the frontline staff. And it's really important that they know who you are, not just the director, not just the marketing manager. So if they have staff, how do you connect with them? How do you get to know them, befriend them, right? Do you check their brochure racks if you have a publication? Do you stop by just to say hello a couple times a year? That works wonders. As someone who used to run a visitors bureau, I'm telling you, works wonders if the staff knows who you are. And make sure they know how to contact you. I love this idea because we don't know if those people who are working at these partner organizations, such as the CVB, have ever even been on a boat. Maybe they haven't. And so can you give them an opportunity to experience the water? This doesn't have to be a full day. All they want is a taste of it. And could you invite those frontline people? I'll expand it. Maybe you even invite a few hotel frontline people or wherever else you may be getting some of your guests, and invite them to come in, provide the equipment they may need, right? Work with them in scheduling this. Just don't do it and give a date. Work with the director, tell them your idea. What's the best way to do it? It is a really great way to give someone firsthand knowledge, because if they're out there selling marinas and boating, what better way for them to have that personal experience if they could say, oh yeah, I was out the other day, I went to this marina, I did this and that. It's personal experience. You cannot duplicate that. Check your listings on their website. Do they talk about the marine experience that you want them to say? And if they don't, give them a call, see if we can make some changes. Make sure the information is correct. Make sure visitors can find your information. And then assign a contact, primary contact, who's their liaison, who's the one that's connecting with them, responding to questions. And if your staff changes, let them know. Make a little note, let them know. So if we look at it in conclusion, just Secret sauce, I think there's three things. Consistency of your message. You care about your community, the environment, and your legacy. And, let you show what you do to make a difference and what you can do to help. Frequency, again, being thoughtful, making sure you're not just saying it one time and then, dusting your hands and saying, done. No, constant. It has to be constant messaging and a commitment to work with partners, including those in the tourism industry, to learn new skills, to connect to their marketing efforts, to make sure they know what you have to offer, and that they have exactly what they need to make sure that your marina is top of mind. And at this point, we will turn things back over to Sarah or Amy or Tracy and talk about questions you may have.
Thanks, Melinda. I appreciate it. This is perfect. You got right in on time. I'm going to share not necessarily a question, but a couple comments I put in the chat. I want to make sure folks are able to access the chat and to make sure everyone knows, as Melinda mentioned, we will save this slide deck as a PDF, and anyone who registered for the webinar will receive a copy of Melinda's slides along with her contact information. I will also make sure we share out in the follow-up email the resources that we put in the chat so far. Just know, I know we have many Ohio folks, but then some colleagues and friends from out of state. The Ohio Clean Boater Pledge is for Ohio, but anyone is welcome to use that as a model for your state. Or if you don't have a Clean Boater Pledge program, you're welcome to, we just have people put in what water body they're in. So to us, it's like, you're still pledging to do good things by the water that are by and large the same across the country. A couple other things we put in the chat is when Melinda mentioned to help promote yourself to your local CVBs and promotional community groups, photos. The Ohio Clean Marinas program is trying to work on our photo archive. We have a Flickr album hosted on the ODNR Flickr account. We've got, and we're continuing to get pictures. So if we bug you about getting pictures, that's why we want to get some of these high resolution photos for you with our staff. And so we'll be continuing to add to that. You're welcome to use any of those pictures provided that you provide the proper citation. If you simply put, usually it's for that, it's usually credit to ODNR. And then the Great Lakes Clean Marina Network also, and I'm open to all of our colleagues from the network, we'll hopefully reinvigorate that a little bit more in the coming years as we start to kind of increase our involvement with the Great Lakes Clean Marina Network. So just some resources there for you. I want to real quick do a poll that I completely forgot to do in the beginning. So I'm going to run this while we're looking at some additional options for questions, but we'd like to know more about you. If you don't mind, if you could please fill out the poll, what state you're from, where do you work, and whether or not you are a clean marina. So if it should be active on your screen, if Tracy and Amy could let me know. Oh, perfect. People are answering it. I was like, I didn't see anything coming in. Awesome. So I'll give that just a couple seconds, and then we'll share that out just to have a snapshot of who's here. And then we can also talk a little bit more. All right, I've got 45% of the attendees participated. Oh, 50%. One more second. Again, there should be a poll on your screen. If you could fill out the poll, we're just trying to get a range of who's all here on the call today, and what your expertise is, if you're an owner operator, or if you're in the Clean Marinas program, or if you're just an interested citizen who's joining us today. So, one more second. Almost got everybody participating. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll here. And I'm going to share the results. So, let me see if I can view details. I'm just going to bring this up here. We've got folks from Illinois, Ohio, a lot of folks from Ohio, this one I need to scroll down here. And then looks like, Melinda, we've got about 50% of people who responded who are marina owner operators, 13% of attendees who are clean marina coordinators, one person who's an interested voter, and then 30%, 31% of people who are other. If you don't mind, if folks are on the call and you're not a marina owner operator and not a clean marina coordinator, if you wouldn't mind just saying hello and who you're with. So we'd love to just stay in touch. If you're not a part of the Ohio Clean Marinas program and you're interested in this type of work and this topic, we'd love to stay in touch. And of those that are a clean marina, it looks like we've got 85% that are a certified clean marina from our participants that are on marina. So cool. Well, thank you for being here. I'm going to save this here. I appreciate you filling that out. That just helps us to get a feel for maybe who's interested in these webinars, and by all means, please feel free to suggest again topics and ideas for the future. I do want to invite, I think as part of the webinar, you all are muted, but if anyone wants to raise a hand, now would be the time either for Q&A for Melinda, or if you have your own experience with sustainable tourism, with your local CVB, with how you've marketed in your marina, and you'd like to share that out for your colleagues, we'd love to hear from you. Even if you have lessons learned, please, we'd love to just hear some stories. So if you should be able to raise your hand, and we can unmute you so that you're able to talk during the webinar. So I'll give a second to just offer that for anybody who may want to share.
And I'll say in the meantime, also, if you have any questions, drop it in the chat.
Absolutely. One thing I want to share that we try and do in the Ohio Clean Marinas program, and to be honest, this is really helpful. I think, Melinda, some of this stuff I knew, but some of it I need to hammer home, and some of it I'm like, oh, that's a good strategy. For our program, we have a interactive map that we created of creating all of our, kind of listing all of our certified clean marinas in the state of Ohio. We list that in multiple places, which I had some communications and marketing saying like, oh, you just have a single website. But I was like, well, then there's a greater chance of people coming across it. So we created that one thing. And then our thought process is hopefully somebody, whether they're looking on the Watercraft website and looking up boater registration information, or they're on the Sea Grant website and they're looking at environmental issues, or if they're on the Great Lakes Clean Marina Network website and they're learning about where there are clean marinas in the Great Lakes, somebody might stumble across a list of Ohio Clean Marinas and hopefully choose an Ohio Clean Marina. So we are trying in our program, and I'm sure many other clean marina coordinators are as well, to actively promote our clean marinas. Something else that I do, and I will say, I'll stress Melinda's point about the relationship and who you know. I'll be honest, like I've got some good contacts with a couple local visitors bureaus who I know they'll actually call me. Like I've gotten to know the front desk people. I've gotten to know, almost like become friends with them, and they'll say, hey, do you have an updated list of your clean marinas? Even just a printout. Like I might not have the capacity to do or the money to do a full-fledged like custom brochure of the marinas in that county, but I can print them off a list of certified clean marinas. And so they're coming to me saying, hey, do you have an updated list? So just by, again, getting to know your people as people outside of just like, hey, what can you do for me? Letting you're a part of the community, you're a part of the community fabric, you're there to help, they're there to help you, and really building that relationship so that, yeah, you get to a point where you're on a first name basis and they're like, oh shoot, man, that's right. I need to check and see what's going on at Joe's Marina down the street and seeing if they have any, events going on, or what things are updated they can pass along to tourists that may be coming into town and want to get out on the water. So I do think those are really good reminders, because, you get caught up running a business as you should, but these organizations can be really helpful, making sure you have good clientele. And more
And
clients.
I'll add, I think those are great comments there, and I'll add to that and say, you know, think about it in terms of someone searching for a marina. Where are they coming from? Where do your customers get their information? Is the Clean Marina program in front of those people? And it's kind of like reversing that thought, you know, being where the customers are. And how do we make sure that that list of clean marinas is in front of people? I would go so far as to say maybe even work with your local CVB or you know, others, and they always have listings. And so they often have listings of marinas. Would they be willing to identify those marinas on their listing who are clean marinas with a logo or a star or something? Particularly if you're able to share the statistics I shared with today, right? So you're able to say, we know people are searching for sustainable options. We know that these designation programs are important. Here's some research to back it up. Would you be willing to put the logo next to the marinas that are designated as clean marinas? That would make a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know of a couple that actually already do that. Again, they
Mhm.
might not even know that they're doing it, but they're doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Right, it's worth asking.
yeah, and I'll add one more tip that I know many of you do this, who, if you go to the trade shows or the boat shows, but I know several marinas will have on their banner, if they have a booth at the boat show, they will have the Clean Marinas logo incorporated in that banner. And I think, again, that's especially if you're looking at maybe people that are looking at buying a boat, right? Well, hopefully you're trying to sell them a boat if you're a dealer. And then if they already bought a boat and they're looking to dock, again, you never know what drives people. And if you're the same as another marina next door, but the only difference is you're a clean marina, you know, it's not, I know we're not like, you know, a fancy pool or, you know, certain amenities that you might have, but it's still something. And so if that sets you apart, and if you're almost exactly like, use that as an amenity,
Mhm.
list that, like Melinda said, talk about it. They don't, you know, then when we're trying to certainly give you more resources for that, like, okay, what does it mean to be a clean marina? So you can talk to folks and use that as something, as an added edge for people who are actively looking for a dock at a boat show or some other event. So
Look, I haven't seen any research that says a sustainability certification detracts people, right? It doesn't. It only attracts some people that's important for. So you're not going to lose customers because you have that sustainability message out there. They're gonna say, oh, they're sustainable. I'm not gonna, you know, the lake's important to them. I'm not gonna go to them. No research that I found has said that. So if it's an advantage, even a small one, to be able to say that you have achieved this, I think it's great and a no-brainer, because it may turn the heads of folks who might otherwise be trying to sort through all the options they have.
that's great. All right, folks, last call for any questions, comments, or suggestions. And again, you're welcome to use the chat or the Q&A for that. Otherwise, again, we will send the slide deck. We'll send a summary here. We will probably also send all the registrants out a post-webinar evaluation just to give us some feedback. Yeah, and the recording, because we recorded this. So.
Great.
Great. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Again, we're looking for more feedback on these types of webinars, so feel free to send us suggestions. And yeah, thanks for being here, Melinda. We appreciate
Oh,
you
happy to be
inviting.
your guinea pig and launch it off. So
Sounds
thanks for
good.
inviting me, Sarah, and thanks everyone for attending.
All right, everybody, I'm going to stop recording and end the webinar.